Ariel Helwani for fanhouse.com at Yankee Stadium for the Manny Pacquiao-Miguel Cotto press conference, and we're being joined by Top Rank's Bob Arum. And Bob, this is a very exciting event for New Yorkers to have a press conference here in Yankee Stadium. Do you think we'll ever see the day that we'll see a big fight here?
Yeah, I think that one of the reasons we had the press conference here in Yankee Stadium is it's a precursor for a big event here at the stadium. Nothing would be better for boxing. It would be great to come back to Yankee Stadium and to do a big event. And I can't wait, and we're going to do it next year.
Really? Is that the plan?
That's the plan.
Maybe the winner of the Mayweather-Marquez fight fighting the winner of this fight?
I don't think so. But certainly a big fight is going to happen next year, and it will happen at Yankee Stadium.
Do you think that those two winners will face off, or is there just too many hurdles involved?
I really can't tell. I mean, let's see who wins, and then we'll see. I mean, Marquez is more predictable than Mayweather. So if Manny wins and Marquez wins, the drum beats will roll for a Manny-Marquez fight, which is would be a real possibility. If Mayweather wins against either of these guys, he's just a problem and a head case, and it'd be very difficult to put a match together.
I'd like to get your take on something a good friend of yours, UFC President Dana White, said recently. He said, no one wants to see Mayweather fight Marquez. People want to see Pacquiao fight Mayweather. And as you know, boxing and UFC are going head-to-head next weekend. UFC 103 against the Mayweather fight. Do you think at some point boxing is going to have to make a fight like that? And because of the competition from MMA and more specifically the UFC, have to give the fans the fights involving these megastars?
Well, Pacquiao and Cotto is the best fight that can be made from a action standpoint. Mayweather is a tremendous talent. The real problem with Mayweather is, we used to call it years ago, a fighter who stinks his opponent out. He doesn't engage. He's a great defensive fighter. People don't want to spend money watching a defensive fighter. That's the problem. Now, it may very well be that a Pacquiao-Mayweather fight can be built up and people can talk about it, but in my heart I know this will be like a hunter running around a ring looking for a deer, and that's not boxing. I mean, Mayweather will not engage his opponent, and that makes a stinking fight. And if people are being asked to spend $50 to watch it on pay-per-view, I can see they would have a reluctance. Now, he did big numbers when he fought Oscar, but it was Oscar and he conned the people. I'm going to go out and I'm going to knock him out. People know Mayweather now. They know the son of a gun doesn't fight. He fights scared. Now, that's okay. I don't want to demean it. If this was like a pitcher, who had a great curveball and struck everybody out so there was no action, it would be great. But he's a boxer and he has to entertain, and Mayweather does not entertain. Outside the ring, yeah, he shoots up cars, he does other things like that, and he entertains. But in the ring, he's not an entertaining fighter.
So do you think that fight will bomb on pay-per-view, the Mayweather fight?
I have no idea how the fight is going to do on pay-per-view. I have no idea whether the UFC fight that Dana's putting on will hurt it. For me, I look at the UFC audience and the boxing audience as being two different audiences entirely. Our audience in boxing is ethnic, Hispanic, Filipino, Puerto Rican, Mexican, and the hardcore boxing fan who can't watch, like me, can't watch UFC. UFC are a bunch of skinhead white guys watching people in the ring who are also look like skinhead white guys.
Well, I take offense to that just for someone who covers the sport. I'm not a skinhead. I'm actually a Jew. I'm not a white. I'm not a white guy. So nothing like that.
Yeah, well,
in MMA,
and you don't have any tattoos.
No tattoos, and a lot of people I know in MMA don't have tattoos as well.
90% of the people in the audience wear tattoos. I don't care. That's up to them. But those aren't people that would have any interest at any time in boxing. They wouldn't. They wouldn't. The only guy they might want to see is Kelly Pavlik.
I think we disagree on that. Let's quickly switch gears here for a second. Are you concerned at all with, and do you think, I mean, you're smiling, or I don't know if you're smiling at him, but it seems like a pretty brash thing to say about the sport. I mean, really, if they're two separate, why even take the shot?
Because for me and people like me, it is not something that they ever care to see. They've watched it. It's horrible. Guys rolling around like homosexuals on the ground. I mean, it is not a sport that shows great talent. The guys who throw punches can't throw a punch to save their ass. When the punches land, the guys have no chins. These are not like boxers. They are not trained like boxers.
But can you really say that about a sport that's generating 1.7 million pay-per-views for UFC 100 and getting over a million for UFC 101? I mean, clearly, unless everyone is mistaken and everyone thinks that this is a disgusting sport, something's wrong with our society, right?
Well, something's wrong with your math, because there ain't no way that a pay-per-view generated anything like the numbers that you gave me and that they put out. I know what the numbers are.
What did they do?
The numbers were south of 1 million.
For 100?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
So they're off by 700 or so thousand?
Who's to check? They're not a public company. Who's to check?
All right, let's quickly switch gears here for a second, because I think we'll disagree on this for a while. Are you concerned at all with the controversy around where Manny Pacquiao is going to train and some of the distractions? Is that something on your mind leading into this fight?
No, absolutely not. Manny Pacquiao decided he wanted to train back in Baguio. Unfortunately, he can't train most of the time in the U.S. because of tax reasons. And so Freddie and the camp are moving to Baguio after the tour, and he'll be back in the United States 4 weeks in front of the fight.
Okay, and final question, just can't get over it. Have you ever been to an MMA fight before?
Yeah, it's terrible.
Terrible. You would never...
These are all my friends. The Fertittas, their father, the late father who died, was a very close friend of mine. Dana White, I admire. These guys have done a marvelous job promoting UFC. They've done extremely well. All hats off to them. But for me, it's junk. It's garbage.
Any part of you a little bit upset because of how good they're doing? Is that's why you're taking the shots?
No, I love the way they have shown us, because of how well they've been doing in certain aspects, to make us adapt. They do an unbelievable job on advertising on the internet. We're following that. They do an unbelievable job in the arena with music and so forth and steaming up the crowd. We're trying to duplicate it. They are great promoters. They are really sensational promoters, and they're really good guys. So I give them all the kudos and all the credit for what they've done. There's no knock on them. These are good class guys who've really built a terrific business. But for me, MMA is garbage and junk. That's how I feel. And I would think that the majority of people in my generation would feel the same.
And that's probably the problem, right?
Maybe.
Your generation isn't buying the pay-per-views.
Well, neither are the Mexicans, and neither are the Filipinos, and neither are the blacks.
Well, that remains to be seen.